What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 361 of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast, the Hot Tags edition of the week, where I will be breaking down some of the current events, the rumors, the news, the gossip, and everything else that went down in the world of professional wrestling, along with my co-host here. I am your host, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me, as always, is Robert DeFelice.
The dynamic duo rides again.
Yes, indeed. And it's not in that really crappy old Batmobile with the fucking bubbles, because never was a fan of that. I know people love the 60s Batman. Nah. Sucked.
It's the 1989. Oh man, I just read it. Not Val Kilmer.
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton, thank you. It's Michael Keaton's Batmobile, and it's great.
I'm going to say controversial here. It's Batman v Superman. That one's the best one.
That is a sleek-looking Batmobile.
Yeah, that fucking murders people for some reason. I don't know. There's a Fanboys Anonymous talk in the middle of this, but we are in the hot tags. So, obviously, we just had Evolution. We're just going to have Crown Jewel, which pretty much means slow news week as far as hot tags, but lots of things happening pay-per-view wise. But that's what we have the pay-per-view points for. So, we will not be addressing something like John Cena being replaced. We'll talk about that on the predictions. The predictions are coming up Wednesday. The pay-per-view post-show is coming on Friday. We'll talk about Crown Jewel when it comes to that kind of stuff. Instead, we have a couple other things to talk about. One of them being the latest special on the WWE Network, which aired right after Evolution, and it's actually probably airing right now, too. It was a House Hardy Halloween special. And this was weird. My first note that I had written to myself was, okay, what the fuck is this? And then I started to write down a couple other things about specifics. So before I get into the specifics, what was your first reaction to this?
Oh, good. They're going to just let them run wild like they did in TNA. And yeah, they did. And it was amazing because of it.
This kind of teetered the edge between this is amazing because it's so weird and I kind of don't get it, and it's sort of like it's got like that camp value. I mean, I just said that I don't like the 60s Batman, so it's like, to me, certain level of camp is like you kind of overdo it a little bit, and I guess like with Matt Hardy, I'm kind of like, all right, I'm a little bit over the joke, but then they would do something that would make me laugh. Like, my favorite part of this entire thing, and I don't even know if this was planned or not, is when he's dealing with the kangaroo, which I believe it was what was the name of it?
Foreman.
George Foreman.
Yeah.
And he goes, "You don't have to fight forever. I don't care what the internet wrestling fans say." That was my favorite part of this entire thing. I laughed real loud at that one. We had appearances from The Godfather, who turned into Papa Shango, which was awesome. The Conquistadors, they brought that back. And how much, like, when's the last time that the Conquistadors have had this much pull in WWE over that short of a time frame?
I think it was the last time they used them, which is when Edge and Christian were trying to get another match with the Hardys. And that was like in what, 99, 2000?
Well, who was, do you know who was playing the Conquistadors in this? I couldn't tell.
I would assume either Andrew Everett and Trevor Lee, or maybe they just put Edge and Christian.
It didn't look like Edge and Christian to me, but I mean, I couldn't tell who like 90% of the people were that were in there. You know, they put Boogeyman on there. I know who Boogeyman is, but it's like the dude that was the scribe. I have no idea who that guy is.
Yeah, it's just some dude. Probably some guy that like they got close to, or
some childhood friend or something.
Yeah, maybe lives with them.
Also, why was Jeff singing?
Why not? Well, like that was his thing. The whole "I'll fade away and classify myself as obsolete." Like that's one of his songs that they just turned into part of the angle. And yeah, Jeff is a peculiar artist. Let's use the word peculiar artist. Like, it's somebody's cup of tea.
Hey, I mean, there's people out there that like screamo. I am not the type to indulge. I also don't like country music. So,
Really though, if you like country music, are you even human? Like,
oh, you're right from the salts of the earth, there, pal.
well,
Talking about your truck and your there's probably so many people that listen to this that are like, "Hey, fuck
yeah,
you, pal."
you fucking. I love my fucking country music, wrestling.
Garth Brooks is the fucking best. That kind of thing. You better shut your goddamn mouth. Garth Brooks is like the only one I know, so that's why I always use him as an example. It's Garth Brooks and Reba McEntire. That's what every single one of them are. I don't care if like this is that fucking show that's on now. It's like I don't know, like Finding Country or something like that. It's like another voice or whatever.
Yeah, it's with Shania Twain and the
It's
one from The
Garth
Voice.
Brooks and Garth Brooks Jr. or something. I don't know. Like all I know is it was like, oh, Shania Twain. Yeah, that was the hot one. That's like all I know about the whole thing. I don't know. We're just gonna crap all over country music here. I actually have a page if anybody's interested. A long while ago, when I thought Facebook pages were gonna actually like be a damn thing, I created Dislike Country Music, and the page is just called Country Music Sucks. And I don't do anything for it; it just exists. And every once in a while, I'll just get like notifications where it's like, "Hey, like 5 more people this week liked the page Country Music Sucks." So I don't know, it's a random little tidbit of information. But hell, it's already Halloween, I like the green bean thing. That was funny.
They are a delicacy, Tony.
Green beans are good, especially when they're on the thin side. You get like a can of green beans. We're diving into snack talk right now, by the way. A can of like those thick green beans, fucking awful. You get the thin ones though, make them nice and steamed and crispy. There you go. Much better than worms.
Yes.
So would you recommend people checking this out? Because I'm kind of iffy on that. I don't know.
I think that this is peak woken/broken Hardy. And really, if you like the TNA stuff where it wasn't like tried to be put into an actual serious context, then this is for you and you should watch it.
What's your theory on who the mastermind of this whole thing is?
Oh, it's clearly Wolfgang.
Who's Wolfgang? I totally don't even know.
The baby.
Not King Maxwell?
Yeah, the baby.
The sad part about this is it's so confusing that I have no idea what the hell you're talking about, but I believe everything that you're saying as a potential option. It's like, well, oh yeah, okay, I could see that adult guy in the hooded robe being a baby because it's just Matt Hardy and
Yeah, it's like, it's actually just Lord Wolfgang standing on top of Senior Benjamin, standing on top of Vanguard 1. Like there's your hooded man.
Hey, credit to Vanguard 1. He's got a girlfriend now.
What the heck? We're talking about the love life of drones and babies potentially being in hooded adult costumes.
That's wrestling. Now, I little spoiler for those who follow the Smark Moment End of the Year awards. This year is not going to have best and worst on-screen couple because really that there hasn't been too many more on-screen couples from last year, so there's no real point, Last year we had the influx of people like Enzo and Naya, and we had Noam Dar and Alicia Fox, and so on and so forth. Or more so, Noam Dar and Alicia Fox. But if I were to have best and worst on-screen couple, Vanguard 1 and his little girlfriend might be the best. I don't know. They got some chemistry right off the bat, at the very least. Certainly not going to be the hose and Senior Benjamin. That was awkward.
Well, he does. Never mind, I was going to make a bad gardening joke. Just go.
Supposedly this was the pilot for a series. Do you think that they've got it in them to actually have like multiple episodes of this?
Yes. Absolutely.
I don't know. I'm really confused because if they tried to do like 10 episodes of this, I got a feeling that it would be like excruciating to sit through. But a special every once in a while, I could be down for that.
I definitely want Christmas.
It's just like every like holiday type thing. Like,
Yeah. All kidding aside, I'm surprised that, especially when DX became really campy, like, hey, Sean, we're just shilling merchandise. I'm surprised they never got, like, it's the DX Thanksgiving Variety Hour. And, I'm down for more stuff like that on the network because, these characters tend to be a lot more funny when they're not trying to be funny on television.
well, they could be doing that. I mean, they were playing around with the network a little bit more. We have House Hardy Halloween. We could have House Hardy Thanksgiving, House Hardy Christmas. Maybe they'll do House Hardy Hanukkah. I don't know. New Year's is another one. They start running it out of a little bit of options then because I don't think that they're going to do like House Hardy Arbor Day, but nobody gives a shit about Arbor Day. I don't know. It's a possibility. A new way to bring Seasons of Beatings back into the mix. I don't know.
House Hardy would totally make Arbor Day work because it's like Senior Benjamin's favorite holiday because it's all about trees and the growth of agriculture.
There you go. Then that's plans for the future, WWE. We're doing the work for you. You love that when people do the work for you. Let's talk about pay-per-view related stuff, even though it's not technically pay-per-view yet. Supposedly, WWE is changing NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, and it's not going to be NXT TakeOver Brooklyn anymore. They're still going to hold it in Brooklyn. Still going to be the Barclays Center, but it's going to be NXT TakeOver New York.
You know why? Because WrestleMania is not in New York, guys. They can tell you that all they want, but it's not.
It isn't. It's New Jersey. And when you do East Rutherford, New Jersey, and you go WrestleMania here in New York, that's like being in West Virginia and being like, all right, like, well, wait until WrestleMania comes to Alabama. It's like, it's the New York metropolitan area, but it's not New York. I'm right around Philly, but I'm in New Jersey, not Philadelphia. And they really just don't want this to be WrestleMania in New Jersey, so it's kind of surprising to me that they would want to change it like that, though, because they already have 4 NXT takeovers
I know,
in Brooklyn.
NXT TakeOver Brooklyn is like legit their WrestleMania.
If it was a different area in New York and they wanted to call it, like, instead of NXT TakeOver Harlem, if they wanted to call it NXT TakeOver New York, okay, maybe going forward they only do that with that, but I don't know. I mean, that kind of takes a little bit of the fun out of it, too, because if they were going to just go by state, it sort of defeats the purpose of the TakeOver name to begin with, and that's what was kind of interesting, it was like NXT TakeOver Philadelphia, NXT TakeOver Dallas, NXT TakeOver Phoenix is something that they're actually advertising. They're not calling it NXT TakeOver Arizona. So it's weird that they were so specific about this. It has to be like Vince, one day, he just woke up recently and he was like, fuck it, I don't want Brooklyn 5. You know?
I think they decided, hey, this is the only show we're actually doing in New York.
It's weird. The specificity behind some of these decisions are very strange. Like, they have 4 NXT TakeOver Brooklyns. It's basically the WrestleMania of NXT. And even though this is going to be before WrestleMania, not before SummerSlam, and they're not going to be able to kind of keep up that momentum and stuff like that, you would still want to capitalize on it. Be like, NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 5. 4 NXT TakeOvers in Brooklyn have been amazing so far, and every time that we come here, it's whatever like that. You're going to have to do all that extra work.
Well, I'm salty that they don't go to the Garden. I don't know why they don't go to the Garden. I know it became a big thing because RH is going to the Garden, and that's like, oh yeah, Vince doesn't have the stronghold anymore. Yeah, but they should just go to the Garden. It's the world's most famous arena. It's WrestleMania.
NXT TakeOver Madison Square Garden would totally sell out. It's not like it wouldn't. Get a little bit of like goodwill back into the mix too. Weird that they didn't.
Yeah, definitely weird that they didn't. Let's play a little game. What do you think will be the main event of NXT TakeOver New York?
See, this just answers my question from before about like how like weird this is. When you said that, I was like, wait a minute, when are they going to do NXT TakeOver New York? That we're talking about it, and I was immediately like, I had to remind myself that it's not NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 5. Let's see. Well, so far we don't know what's happening with War Games. Keep that in mind, everybody, when we're giving our predictions here. But we do know some of the things that they're hinting at.
We can talk about. The Staples Center apparently announced Gargano, Black, and Ciampa Dream.
Those two seem to be pretty much locked. And if you want to know the spoilers, there's some information about the War Games matches and stuff. Well, match and stuff. They've been building a little bit towards this idea of Cassius Ohno versus Matt Riddle. It wouldn't shock me at all if TakeOver, I always call it Brooklyn again, TakeOver New York was maybe Matt Riddle against Tommaso Ciampa. Maybe, if not that, it's Gargano Ciampa again.
Like a heel Gargano versus a heel Ciampa.
I don't know. It's weird what they're doing with. I don't buy Gargano being a heel yet. Something about it's just not right for me.
I think there's something to what Callum was suggesting, that maybe Regal orchestrated the whole thing.
Why?
I don't know. They like to have heel authority figures. You know, Regal's a great heel, though.
It wouldn't shock me at all if they did some kind of redemption story thing with Gargano, and it was like he didn't actually do this to Black. It was actually like Ono or someone. But Gargano is like so lost that he just decided to, pick a fight with Black too or something like that. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if they overbooked the shit out of it.
Oh, good news, Tony. They're bringing back your favorite match, because tomorrow night on SmackDown, it will be a member of the New Day versus a member of the Bar in a trick or street fight.
I'm actually okay with it. Somebody's going to smash a pumpkin over somebody else's head, and it's just like, all right, fine. But it's only going to be 1 against 1? I thought it was going to be the
Well,
six-man.
they're all going to be out there, so everybody's going to have candy dumped on them and pumpkin smashed on them.
I hope that they do something to Bootyworth.
I kind of want to see Big Show like smash a pumpkin over Kofi's head and then do the punch
and break the pumpkin.
Yeah, like that'd be awesome.
You didn't answer your own question here. What do you think is going to be the main event for New York?
I'm gonna suggest Matt Riddle versus whoever wins at War Games versus Matt Riddle.
You think that they could do Matt Riddle versus Dream?
I do think they can. I think they could do Dream versus anybody that they want to. The Dream is amazing and one of the best characters, if not the only character, that WWE truly has.
For some reason, I can't see them giving the title to Velveteen Dream. Not yet, at the very least. If they want to keep him in here longer, I think that maybe in the future, but I can't see them having him be the one that beats Ciampa. Or EC3 for that matter. For some reason, they keep pushing EC3 away.
Oh yeah. You know what? Genuinely, I forgot about his existence for a second.
Yep. We could see something like, I mean, they have shorter reigns every once in a while. We could have like Velveteen Dream beats Ciampa and then loses it to like Adam Cole or something like that. Like, they could do something like that. Although I'm thinking Undisputed Era comes up at WrestleMania.
I would love Adam Cole to be in the main event of everything, but I don't hold my hopes up for nice things.
Well, we know at least some of the indication of what's happening at War Games. One thing that's up in the air is something that has to do with the NXT Women's Championship, because they didn't record anything ahead of time. And even if they would have, it might still be up in the air, because apparently at Evolution, Shayna Baszler suffered an ankle injury. No idea of exactly the depth of it, if she's going to be out for long enough time frame that she's going to be out for War Games, or maybe she just kind of tweaked something, whatever. But she was apparently on crutches. That's not good.
Well, like, if she was hurt in any regard, good for her for just, like, because when she walked out of there like a champ, I didn't even think
I didn't notice anything.
She was hurt. So good for her. I would like to see Shayna Baszler stay in NXT for as long as possible. I'm no Callum, so I can't gush over her the way he was, but man, she's fucking great. And I hope she's not hurt, because I want her to stay around as long as she possibly can, because she's great. The horsewomen are going to be great, and it's great. Yeah, I'm a real wordsmith here, guys.
Well, do you think that it's great that we now have 3 people from NXT are holding Evolve championships? We have Street Profits and Fabian Aichner won different titles at Evolve. Aichner won, like the Evolve championship itself?
Yep.
And Street Profits are the tag champs?
Yep. And Profits, I understand, because they've been a big deal, and maybe Triple H is like, hey, I don't have anything for you right now. Go work with Gabe and all, and, strengthen your characters and stuff like that. But Aichner, huh? Like, that's kind of left field. He beat Shane Strickland, who is kill shot for all of you Lucha Underground fans.
Don't know either of those names. But I will say, Fabian Aichner was surprising for me when they had him in the Cruiserweight Classic at first. I was like, oh shit, this guy's big and he can move. Really want this guy to get signed. And when they signed him, I was like, awesome, they're going to do something with him. And he quickly became this complete jobber. I was like, fuck, man, they're going to turn him into just a guy that can put other people over instead of being somebody who could actually maybe do something or whatever. So for him to win the Evolve Championship, it's not, the equivalent of like the WWE title, but at least it shows that they got a little bit of faith in him, which is good. More faith than they do in Dan Matha, apparently, because that dude popped up one time to get wrecked by Samoa Joe and then fuck off forever.
What about Babatunde, baby?
Uwe Bambatunde, Uwe Bambatunde. Yeah, he popped up for, the Battle Royal, and that was it?
The Greatest Royal Rumble. He was going to be Leo Rush's guy, like his bodyguard.
Now we have
an upgrade.
Leo Rush doing the Bobby Lashley thing. Total opposite. Well, I mean, that's not really the total opposite. Leo Rush isn't a bodyguard, but you know what I mean?
So, let's talk about the state of wrestling in 2018, man. Yeah, NXT contracted guys competing in Evolve and winning their titles. You've got NXT UK. You've got the all-in kind of stuff. Wrestling is just so different from what I've always known it to be, and in a good way. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like the imaginary lines are just gone, and you can see anyone do anything at any time.
You know what it feels like to me?
What's that?
When, I mean, I'm sure that it's not something to be like, does everybody have experience with this? Because we clearly don't, but like, when a mobster gets taken down and there's a power vacuum, or when like a gang gets taken out, suddenly all these other entities are all fighting for, establishing their dominance and stuff. And it almost seems like WWE is being pushed aside a little bit while all these other areas of professional wrestling are kind of competing for that spot, even though WWE isn't going anywhere. It's like NXT is making a claim to being like, we are not just setting up the future anymore. We're the current, and we're the reason why people are tuning into a lot of these things. Then you got like let's incorporate Evolve. Let's incorporate Progress. Let's get NXT UK up and running. They're really like struggling, but they're still trying. Impact's doing whatever the fuck Impact is doing. They're still failing, but they've been failing for a dozen years.
They're failing better than they were failing before. Let's talk about it. Well, after we're done with that stuff, let's talk about Impact and their horrible time slot change.
What did they move to?
10 p.m. on Pop TV.
And what day was that again?
That's just Thursday.
10 p.m. is not a good time.
It's never a good time for any day, but who's like, bro, I want to watch some wrestling on the former TV Guide channel at 10 p.m. I feel bad because they're in the middle of a stride, and now they're doing this.
Oh, what else are they going to do? Fold? They clearly don't ever want to do that.
I think if ECW would have stayed around long enough, even WCW for that matter, to have these platforms where you never have to die because there's always some kind of platform for your content, we would still be talking about the WCW champion and the WCW United States champion and the ECW champion.
That's almost like a negative thing, though, because it's like sometimes these things should just die.
Yeah, I think in terms of history and mystique, the fast blaze that was the Monday Night War really helped the whole lineage of that era. The fact that it was over so quickly, and now we have these companies that just hold on no matter what. And good for them. Good for the people who are able to feed their families that way. But from a fan perspective, I hate that the Impact of today is the same Impact with the legacy of like Hogan, Flair, Sting, AJ, Kurt. That's hard.
Yeah, and there's pretty much nothing they're gonna be able to do to get me to watch anymore. Now, I have not paid any attention to Evolve, but if we're gonna get more crossover between NXT and Evolve, maybe if I have the fucking free time, maybe I'll try to like learn a little bit more about the people from Evolve, and that's useful, Like I know more about the UK scene now after NXT UK. I still have no idea who some of these people are in this latest bit, but I mean, if 3 years ago, if you would have mentioned Jordan Devlin to me, I would have been like, I don't know who this dude is. Now I know he's Finn Balor's younger clone.
Oh yeah, Finn Balor do. Yeah, I know. Callum and I, we tease you about the fact that you don't watch anything outside of WWE, but there's also a lot to consume, and just a lot of ways to consume it. Like I did the math. If you were to sign up for every wrestling platform currently available, you'd be spending like $60-$70 just on wrestling subscriptions alone.
Shit, and you know what? It's like sometimes you just gotta turn your brain off from wrestling. You gotta watch something else. Sometimes it's like, fuck it, I got a couple hours instead of watching Holy Foley or whatever. My son or daughter is a WWE superstar or something like that. It's like I'm gonna watch Binging with Babish, and he's gonna cook some fucking meal from Goodfellas or something, and I'll be like, oh, that looks good. It's just kind of like sometimes you have to do that. And I know there's some people out there that like they can't get enough wrestling, so they just watch it all. And in a way, I kind of admire that because they can really get like this full scope of everything. But I can't. I got too much other stuff on my plate.
Yeah, it changes when you are full-time working in it. Because I used to be that person who's like, yeah, all the wrestling, and now I'm like, no.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Was Evolve a part of the WrestleMania Access stuff from this year?
Yes.
All right, I thought so. It was Evolve in Progress, I think, right? And the what was that a company that starts with an I?
ICW.
ICW. I was going to say IWA. I don't even know if that's a thing. Internet Wrestling Entertainment. There you go. Just coined it right now.
We're starting that promotion in 2020.
Yeah, and apparently if we start a promotion, we don't ever have to die. So that's great.
We're going to run head-to-head with the XFL, baby. We're doing it.
So that's good that they have a little bit of crossover when it comes to that, at the very least, you know. I'd like to see these championships brought onto NXT television.
Absolutely. I think NXT TakeOver Phoenix having NXT tag titles, Evolve tag titles on top of, you know, every other championship. Because Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish and even the War Raiders, they all have such, you know, strong relationships with the independent scene, and Fish and O'Reilly, especially with Gabe, that who's to say we don't get, you know, those guys winning the Evolve tag titles and doing some shots for Evolve.
I mean, even just like now the Street Profits are the Evolve Tag Team Champions. Well, the next time that they're doing a taping and they've got like the Street Profits against Heavy Machinery, have them come out with the Evolve Tag titles. Just be like, hey, for those who don't know, the Street Profits are also the Evolve Tag Team Champions. And that, like, they don't need to call attention to it. They don't need to try to put the belts like on the line. It could just be like, these guys are great. They win championships, and that's why we have them here in NXT. You know, like, what year was it when Jeff Jarrett had the NWA title?
98.
Like, that was a little bit of an angle specifically, but it was also just sort of like, hey, we don't want to give Jeff Jarrett any of our titles right now, but isn't he great? Or I should say, ain't he great? He's even got a title on this other company, and we don't need to really, like, nobody's going to be like, oh, I guess I'm not going to watch WWE anymore and just watch NWA stuff. It's like, you know, but hey, he won a title. Proves that he's good at things. Like, you know?
Yeah. And the Street Profits could use some proving that they are good at things. And
they already bring the swag. They might as well have as much of it as possible.
So could Aichner. Like, Aichner shoots from a nobody to, like, he can stand in the ring with Ciampa and be like, I'm a champion too, bitch.
Yeah, shit. Put him, you know, if you really want to put this over, have one segment on one episode of NXT one time where Fabian Aichner comes out. He says, I'm the Evolve champion. I think I deserve a shot against the North American champion, Ricochet. Wouldn't be that hard. One match, Ricochet wins. Aichner still looks like a, you know, hot shot. There's ways to play around with this kind of stuff.
And once again, we're doing your work for you.
There you go, WWE. Send us a paycheck. Or at least let me keep some of my t-shirts up on fucking T-Public. Stop taking shit down saying that it violates your copyright because it says Smark Out Moment in a WrestleMania font. Jerks. Those are the hot tags that I have.
Yeah, because we're not talking Crown Jewel, right? We're not talking Bobby Lashley, John Cena.
You mean Lashley?
Lashley. You gotta say it with the voice that he has. Lashley.
Man of the hour.
So Joey Janela, he's a guy who was at All In.
Double J.
Sometimes runs his own promotions, and he sold out a show for WrestleMania weekend in 20 minutes. Like less than. Like these tickets went quick. And all we know so far is that Japanese deathmatch legend Onita will be appearing. And that's it. And the tickets are gone.
How big's the venue?
That's a good question. Let me check.
Because if it's, you know, like, we sold out the whole thing and it seats 20 people. It's like, okay, no wonder.
Oh, well, it's in the vicinity of, like, WrestleMania, so it's got to be somewhat reasonable.
10,000 people.
Well, it'll never be that.
Yeah, I know.
So let's see. It is located at the White Eagle Hall in New Jersey.
Not the slightest idea what that is. Are they going to call it still New York even though it's New Jersey too?
No, because they're honest people.
It's gonna be Joey Janela takes over New York, and then a fine print. Actually, it's New Jersey, kind of thing.
And if anyone's worried about how you can watch this thing, don't worry. Joey Janela tweeted, "Spring Break pay-per-view will only be available closed circuit at all locations of the Church of Scientology for exclusive members of the church." So don't worry.
Makes sense. Damn you, Fight TV. Couldn't get that deal. Scientology, that's where it's at. That's the future of the business. Gonna get a Mordecai back and shit. Well, he wasn't a Scientologist, but
Is there anything else?
Nothing else I can come across. Right now, somebody's leaving a comment going, "You forgot to talk about blah, blah, blah." And it's like, yeah, well, fuck blah, blah, blah. That's what we said. I don't know why that came out all mean. Fuck you and your fucking suggestions about blah, blah, blah.
They confirmed for real Becky and Charlotte?
Oh, yeah, for Survivor Series. Fuck it. Yeah, let's talk about that, actually, because it's not we don't have to do a pay-per-view point of Survivor Series yet. Becky, oh, wait, no, you're talking to something else, aren't you?
No.
You said Becky Charlotte.
I say Charlotte? I meant Ronda, I'm sorry.
That's weird. You said Charlotte, and I just ran straight to Ronda anyway. Yeah, Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch at Survivor Series. That could be a good topic for us to just end this off on. That means, at least for one match, we are still getting brand warfare. And the reports ahead of time, of course, this is before the Roman Reigns situation happened and before the babyface turn of Braun Strowman, was that we were going to get Team Corbin versus Team Angle. And we were talking about this a little bit before we recorded. It seemed like what the most rational thing they would have gone with, if they would have done that, would have been Team Corbin consists of Baron Corbin, the Three Dogs of War, probably somebody like a Bobby Lashley. And then on Team Angle, you've got the three members of the Shield, Kurt Angle himself, and more than likely Finn Balor. Other people like Jinder Mahal and Elias, they would have maybe found their way elsewhere onto the card or something like that. But if they were to do that, even around that time frame, that would have incorporated the Universal Champion, the Intercontinental Champion, and the Tag Team Champions. It's highly doubtful that all of them would have lost their belts and they would have gone with something else. So they might not have actually done that. They might have done something more along the lines of Roman Reigns is the Universal Champion. He's fighting whoever the WWE Champion is at the time. It's AJ Styles, it's Daniel Bryan, it's The Miz, whatever the case may be. And there could have been a little bit of flexibility with, like, say Seth Rollins against Shinsuke Nakamura for the mid-card kind of situation. The tag teams could have been taken out of the mix. And maybe we could have gotten some more leeway of, like, Team Corbin consists of, like, Jinder Mahal. Probably Elias wouldn't have turned heel at that point. So on and so forth. If we get more than just Ronda Becky, do you think we're getting IC champ against United States champ, Universal champ against WWE champ, like that full setup, or what do you think?
I think if we get, this is the only situation where I would want Brock Lesnar to win, because I'd like to get another round of AJ and Lesnar. But then, then you have Seth, who is the Intercontinental Champion and a Tag Team Champion. By the way, is he a Tag Team Champion? Did they not come out with the belts?
He didn't come out with it, and Ambrose didn't have his, and they completely didn't address it.
Because they did a triple threat tag, and I was wondering if that was going to be leading to something. But even still, the idea of Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura, Becky Lynch, and Ronda Rousey, AJ Styles, Brock Lesnar, I like it. Even like, hey, we still have Crown Jewel. Who's to say it's not Daniel Bryan, Brock Lesnar, or Daniel Bryan, Braun Strowman? Like, those would be some fun matches.
Depending on what happens at Crown Jewel, which of course we'll get into on Friday, it wouldn't shock me at all if they still have, for instance, like, we know that Nia Jax has a title shot, and she already pretty much just said it's not happening until after Survivor Series. So Nia Jax versus Ronda Rousey at TLC. I wouldn't be shocked at all if they have for Survivor Series Braun Strowman versus Drew McIntyre and say AJ Styles against The Miz or something like that. And they just don't do brand split kind of stuff there.
It'll all depend. Like we were talking about before we got on the air, maybe they just do this one match and they're like, fuck it, you don't need, brand warfare everywhere. This is just an excuse to get horsewomen versus horsewomen on Survivor Series.
Do they have enough people that they could still do Corbin and Angle without messing up some of those things? Because that's kind of tough. Like, if they...
Corbin can have Lashley,
Mahal.
Himself.
So he needs 2 more people, which could be McIntyre and Ziggler. Unless McIntyre is fighting Strowman.
Or it could be like the AOP.
Yeah, AOP could be in that.
Versus Kurt Angle, Finn Balor.
Balor would be a guarantee. Maybe Elias.
That was going to be mine. And then...
Who would those 3 other people be? Or the 2 other people, not 3. Looking at the roster right now, I mean, they're not going to put, Gable and Rude.
God forbid. I was going to say Gable and Rude.
Gabe Glorious. I declared them earlier.
Well, at least you'd get some cool interactions from Chad Gable and Kurt Angle.
I would think that those 2 other people would have to be maybe an outsider, like a John Cena.
Yeah, he can be mad at Corbin for kicking him off of the Crown Jewel card.
Yeah, I don't know. That's tough because
actually, that sounds believable.
I don't know. Maybe you know what? They might go ahead and give that spot to Apollo Crews. Just be throwaway, kind of a thing.
It'll be the 1 year of, hey, this is your big breakout moment, and then he'll never do anything again.
Yeah, they could do that. I don't know. That's a tough call. They only have a little bit of time to set that up, though, because even though it seems like we have this rush of all these pay-per-views and stuff, Survivor Series is coming up pretty damn fast. We got Crown Jewel on Friday, and then we've got 1 full week of a break after that, and then the next week is the go home week. So it's somebody like me who is overloaded with stuff to work on. It's kind of I'm finally going to get a break after Friday to be oh man, no more pay-per-view stuff. And then a couple days later, I'll be let me start setting up all my shit for TakeOver and for Survivor Series.
Man, we have not caught a break.
Nope. But at least when it comes to this month, we will also be going through Champsgiving. And if you have not been following Champsgiving, let me just give you a little bit of a breakdown for people that aren't too aware. We already did round 1 and we already did round 2. At the end of me recording this, then we're recording this right now around post midnight, I will do the finishing touches for round 2 and set up the post for round 3 to be scheduled for tomorrow. So Tuesday afternoon, that's when we're going to start getting into round 3 of Champsgiving, and make sure that you guys vote on that, because over these next couple of weeks, eventually, I think it's the week after Thanksgiving is when it finishes, or the week after that's when the winner is revealed, whatever the case may be with that. We're going to figure out who the best world champion is. And
not to be confused with figuring out who the best in the world is.
No, because this one actually incorporates people. And it practically means more, because winning the World Cup's not going to mean a damn thing. But we'll get into that when we get into our predictions. That's the next thing that's going to be coming up on the YouTube channel here. Predictions for Crown Jewel is going to be popping up sometime on Wednesday. And then we have just one day after that, and then we get into Crown Jewel itself on Friday. It starts at noon. Actually, it starts at 11 with a pre-show, but I'm assuming the pre-show is going to be absolutely nothing. So the 12 o'clock to 4 or 5 o'clock or so is going to be that. That's live coverage on smarkoutmoment.com. Then we'll record our review, and whenever that gets to the point where it's fully edited and stuff, then that'll be posted sometime on Friday night. We invite everybody, of course, to ring that little bell after subscribing on the YouTube channel to be aware of when these things get posted, and to chime in on the comments below and tell us what you think about all these different topics for the hot tags. And then, of course, later on in the week when it comes to Crown Jewel, everything that's happening there. If you're not watching Crown Jewel, I get it. So don't be like, hey, I'm not watching it, so fuck you or something like that. No, if I didn't have to watch it, I wouldn't watch a lot of this stuff. So, oh yeah, we're on plug mode. I just realized that. So, other plugs to talk about. You guys should know the score by now. I shouldn't even have to mention it, but just in case you're brand new and I haven't turned you off already by being completely unprofessional and not editing this out, but fuck it, I don't care. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at SmarkOutMoment, and make sure that you hit up the Redbubble and the TeePublic shops, as well as the Patreon account for SmarkOutMoment. There's another one for Fanboys Anonymous as well, if you want to show your support for those two channels and to help the sites grow and to be able to request different special features. And if you are interested in more Fanboys Anonymous, go to fanboysanonymous.com. That's where you'll find that kind of content. You can follow me at Tony Mango all over the place, and you can follow all my freelance articles and other kind of stuff through the same kind of avenues. And I think that's about it. So, Rob, round me out.
All right, so for me, you can follow me everywhere at Dude Felice. That is DUDEFELICE. I am considering changing that to something more pro wrestling related. So, hey, if you got any suggestions, drop them in the comments, and maybe I'll pick it. Outside of that, you can support me by supporting my clothing brand, Time Killer Apparel. If you buy a t-shirt, hoodie, hat, anything at all, it does support me, and it would mean the world to me. And of course, check out WrestleZone.com for your daily wrestling news, because that's what's paying the bills for yours truly right now, and need all the support we can get there as well. That's it for me. That's it for Tony. Any final words, Tony?
Same old as always. Thank you all for listening, everybody. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.